development comes in so that we will have more or be able to build more. We continue to grow. We aren't doing as fast as we were back in 05, 06, but we're still doing about 20 some 30 building permits a year, which is enough for our small staff. So I don't know what else to tell you that's happening in the city. That's about all I can think of right now.
Who are the councilmen?
So Mike Dodge is the mayor yet.
Mike?
Mike Dodge is
Okay.
mayor. He lives in Old Schoolhouse Road. Peggy Wagner lives down here on 4th Street. She was appointed to Eric Boder. If you remember, Eric Boder was a Carver County Sheriff's deputy, and he resigned his seat. So Peggy was appointed to her seat.
About a year, within the last year.
Within the last year. Nikki McNeely lives up on Ridge Road. She's been on the council for a long time. Chad Helt was just recently elected, and he lives on 4th or 5th Street also in the old part of town.
What is the last name?
Helt. He is the postmaster here.
Yeah.
And his mother, Sheila, I believe, was on the council at one time, too. History goes back. And then Larry Melander, who lives in the Hidden Creek development, and I understand that Larry was on the Waconia City Council at one time. Does that sound familiar to you? Someone mentioned that to me today, and I haven't taken the time to look, but he's on the Mayor's City Council now, so. We continue to have our boards and commissions, and somehow our Community for a Lifetime Commission kind of fell through the cracks. And they're hoping that the new administrator will get that back up and running again so that we have that activity going on. That's about all I can think of, I guess.
I'm on the city council at Norwood Young America.
Oh, are you? Okay.
We just hired a city administrator, and that process is just exhilarating to interview people and ask them questions. Anyway, so
do you have any new businesses?
Well, no. We do have had interest now in the old fire station. We have two businesses interested in that right now. I don't know which way the city council is going to go with that. We're talking to Ridgeview Ambulance about them bringing their medical rig here, and then they were going to park in the old fire station, but if we sell it, they won't be able to do that. However, one of the things that when the city built the new fire station, they did an extra bay for Ridgeview. So they will probably be going out to the new fire station on Chimcor. So
you've had phenomenal growth with the school, Mayor Luther.
yes,
Over
it's
the years.
expanded. It's
Just
expanded
phenomenal.
totally. Yes. Yep.
Good Lutherans.
Yeah.
My father-in-law was the pastor that started it with several other people, Mary Lutheran High.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Yes, that's interesting. And it's something, if you tell people, I used to tell people I worked in Mayor, oh, you mean where the Lutheran High School is? And that's really what the community was known for, was the Lutheran High School. That's how people knew Mayor, was the Mayor Lutheran High School, so, yep.
Well, and I told you earlier that the musicals that they hold here during the summer are just great quality.
What, the school?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
Okay.
community theater.
Okay.
We're glad to be here today.
Well, great. I'm happy to have you here. I remember we did this when I was here before, but said we always did it in the council chambers, but I've got a park board meeting tonight to attend to, so otherwise you would have had the cushy seats, so blame it on the park board.
So does the Carver County Park Board is there? Or just is
No,
yours?
Mayor County Park,
Okay.
Mayor Park Board.
Okay.
Because they've got a park shelter that we're hoping to build, and then a water park for the community out here. And so that's out for bids right now. And they did a little survey at the festival that was on Saturday, and people voted on stuff, and the community's really excited about it. So I hope, the architect said, I think, Luann, this is meant for you to be, because this is the third time they've done it. When I was here twice before, we did this, but they didn't want to spend the money. So hopefully, it was just meant to be the way I wrapped everything up, I guess, is what he's saying. I don't know if that's going to be true or not, but I hope that they do that for the community, so, yep.
Very elaborate Veterans Park.
Yeah, I worked with Stan Helt on that when they started that, yep.
Huge.
Mm-hmm. So, which is a huge asset to the city, too. So, I'm just putting a PowerPoint together. That's what I'm doing for the mayor for the interviews. So I'm going through, I just, adding those things as I go, so, about the trailhead and the Veterans Memorial.
Okay.
All right, I'll let you go. I'm gonna go back to my work, and if you need anything, you knock on the door.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank you.
coming to
Thank you.
Mayor.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. Take care.
Bye.
Charles, I got an email from Gwen at 4:30 saying she's on her way.
Okay, okay. So, but we have quorum, so we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. So, I'm gonna be, normally you shouldn't do that, but I'm gonna be upfront. I wasn't feeling well for yesterday and on Sunday, so I didn't get time to fully read the minutes, so I'm gonna wing it. Sorry, is that gonna be recorded?
Yep, I put it.
So, agenda review and adoption. Any questions you have about the agenda, or it's straightforward, quite simple, nothing out of the ordinary thing.
Hi, Gwen.
Hey, Gwen.
I forgot how long it takes to get places.
I think that's gonna be the common comment.
I know.
Do you need a hard copy? Okay.
If there are no objections, all in favor to adopt the agenda?
You want to say, need a motion?
Do I need a motion to adopt the agenda?
I move to adopt the agenda review and adoption.
And I can second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion passed, and I've been practicing that all in favor thing. Approval of the minutes of the June 14, 2022 meeting. You made it.
I'm happy. Oh,
What took you so long, Commissioner? Were you campaigning on the way?
would you like the hard copy? Okay.
I'll move to adopt the minutes of the June 14th meeting.
Can I get a second on that?
I'll second it, Alan.
All in favor, say aye.
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 And minutes are now approved. Going on to the fourth item, I guess the interim city manager was just here.
Right, she came in because she has to work on that.
Right. I don't think she kind of gave us a synopsis of what's happening. There's a lot of growth in the city for those who are coming in late. They are averaging about 20 to 30 new housing a year in the last several years. They just have a new fire station built. They have an old one. They're trying to figure out what to do with it. There are two parties that are looking at acquiring it. Otherwise, they may use it for the ambulance parking. But they already had an extra lot in the new fire station that they can put the new ambulance in, but so they haven't figured out how to use that yet. Anything else? She is the interim city administrator. So there's been quite a few changes. I don't remember all of them, but there have been 2 or 3 changes in the last year, she mentioned.
She's
Did I miss
interested in the library.
She is interested in if they put up a location for a library, to see whether would that be a consideration to do. So that was something that she just posed to us. But I guess if once there is a real request, then maybe we can entertain that at that point.
And the previous city administrator had posed that question also.
Okay.
Because she had gotten a lot of individuals from the community who had been asking
Right.
about. And like I said earlier, of all the express libraries, Mayor has the highest circulation limit. Mayor has only 10 lockers compared to 20 lockers at all the rest of our
Wow.
locations. And the only reason for that is that there's no room in the entryway for more.
Right. That's interesting. I think the question became, the question she posed was that do people still go back to hard copy or do they go digital? So as an example is that I'm reading a hard copy and also a digital, and I'm really lazy because I have it on a Kindle And if you have it on Kindle, you can hit play and it actually reads to you. I can always pause it, back it up a bit. Okay, what did he say? It's no emotion in it. It's just a straight, machine reading. But you can still sit there and you just listen. If it's a very topical stuff, it's okay. You're not looking for conversational emotions in the document itself. So in the book itself. So, yeah. I think that were there any people wanted any public input? Anybody's post a question online for us?
No, they did not.
Okay. So I'm going on to action items part 5, policies, material of posting or distribution. So I can
And then will be Jody's.
Yes. So, and I should preface, there are 2 policies listed for
Right.
review tonight. However, we're asking for additional time, our management team, to review the second one, because it's a rather more in-depth policy. So if we could have that prepared for our August meeting, that would be very much.
Well, and you also have 4 cities that are looking at new libraries.
Is Cologne the fourth?
Cologne, Mayor, Carver, Chaska.
Maybe Victoria next decade.
And Victoria, yes,
Yes,
Jim
right.
Breverton. Yeah, came over.
Victoria.
Right. They run out of city space.
They want a bigger library.
Didn't they just finish building a couple of years ago community center? 3 years ago, I thought. They didn't have one before, I thought.
They've had the community center for a while.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
It's in partnership with District 112, and that stuff's coming to the end.
Okay.
So they're revisiting if that makes sense. But 5 potential libraries in 10 years.
That's a chunk.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Wow.
Nice chunk.
So for the enclosed policy, materials for posting or distribution, that's in your packet. And we've noted in red just 2 edits in the 3rd paragraph down. And really, we just adapted to make the language a little tighter, more concise in those two spaces. So that's what we have to bring forward to you for review tonight for this particular policy. And of course, we'll address any questions as best we can if you have any.
When you say dated, like how long do you leave it there before you take it down?
It can depend sometimes they are dated for us and we date them often when they're dropped off to be posted. And so we just have to be cognizant to review them on a regular basis.
Or maybe the events past, like they were saying, September 1 is this event going on, and then September 1 comes and goes, you can take it down.
Right, yep, exactly. So whether it's the managers or in some cases we have librarians that will take that task on as well to make sure we are staying up to date with those items.
Is that reviewed frequently then, or is there someone that say, okay, every Friday evening before we close out, we review that, or do we it's more ad hoc?
We try to look at it weekly at Chaska. I can't speak for the other branches, but
Well, Waconia, as staff, we walk by it
yeah.
every day, so I think we tend to keep up with it pretty well. And certainly Waconia is the space is limited. We have more to put up than we have space to put up, so we're very mindful of keeping the turnover going, not having stuff linger. Watertown and Norwood Young America, by the nature of those bulletin boards, it's a little more spacious.
I'm just kind of surprised people still think of bulletin boards anymore with social media and everything, but they do catch your eye sometimes for stuff you wouldn't see somewhere else. So.
Silly question. Because I looking at it for the first time, I'm just talking what's coming to my head. So this is bulletin board, but what about, do we have like monitors that you put advertisement also, or anyone who wanted a notice would put on, do you have monitors that do that?
We have electronic monitors, but I don't know are they used, Paul, in your
Yeah.
libraries any longer?
I'll go ahead, is we did have an electronic bulletin board system that was run system-wide, and the software for that, and we were having a combination of software issues and hardware, and long story short is it's just something that became eventually dated so that we couldn't upgrade it as it was, and took a look at cost effectiveness and felt that we really couldn't do the upgrade and replacement that was going to be required. In a couple of the branches at least, we've repurposed the monitors. If you can picture in the Waconia activity room, there's a monitor that's on a stand. We took the monitor when we took it off the wall, we got a stand for it, and we use that now as an alternate to the overhead projection for when we're doing meetings and things like that. So we really are eking out everything from our previous investment. The feeling was, and part of it was that we knew because there would be outdated information up there, and nobody would say anything to us, quite frankly, that we came to realize that it just wasn't being watched in the way you would have thought it would have been. So had it, and it kind of ran its course.
Okay.
And ours in Chaska, when the new entryway was constructed, it went away because there wasn't another space to
Right.
put it.
Yeah, I
But
can see
then
that.
again, following suit with the software, I mean, we were all part of the same system at that point.
Correct.
So, yep.
Yeah.
Just thought I'd ask that question, sorry.
So Patrick, yours is also,
Yeah.
your staff was probably affected the most because I think most of the input had to come from those individuals, so that was also problematic.
If we would ever want to revisit it, we have the wiring infrastructure there, and it's still the wall mounts and all that kind of hoo-ha, that should we decide we want to go back to it, we could.
Okay.
But there's a lot of pressure on staff that.
You gotta
ensure
manage
that
it,
context,
because then
yeah.
you gotta keep things current.
That's
and-
a huge
yeah,
burden on
that's a
staff.
burden on, yeah.
An electronic bulletin board is a lot harder to manage than a
Right.
thumbtack.
Right. No, I agree. Just curious. So for the policy change or policy update, I won't say change, it's not really change. Material for posting or distribution, all in favor say aye? Oh, no, can
No.
I have a motion first?
I'll
To ex-
move to
approve.
accept the policy as revised.
I'll second it.
We have first and second, so can we have all in favor to say aye?
Aye.
Motion carried.
I always like things that remove words. The new one is so much shorter.
We'll keep that in mind.
So next section is unfinished and new business. And there's a discussion topic here, partnership and sponsorship. Is there any?
Charles, there's an action item here for board action.
Oh,
Changing venue, should that be under
6.2 should be under 5.2, yes.
oh, okay,
My mistake,
no problem.
not telling you that when we got to No, my mistake, not a problem.
So there's another item, action item, library advisory board meeting, change of venues.
So, it's an election year, which means we have.
What,
polling
again?
places.
Just kidding.
The Chanhassen City Council is using the Chanhassen Library, meeting room, the Wilder Room, as a polling place, which it is certainly their right to do so.
Right.
So we need to change the location of that November meeting. And the only place that we have available, every other city in our library system has their city meeting rooms as their polling places are
Right.
using, is the Waconia activity room. So I said, well, I think this is a good place to hold it. And I did ask Paul, and if that is agreeable with you, we will change it. At that point, and Chanhassen will have another date.
Did we get a schedule of all the places this year? I don't remember getting one.
You did, and you approved it, and so
Okay.
starting next year, we'll work this in
Okay,
to all of them.
okay. I probably need to look back through something, because I don't
I-
have any of them on my calendar.
I think
mean,
it's
I
on
have
the
dates
webpage.
my
I
calendar,
think
but
it's
not
on the
location.
webpage.
Yeah,
I remember seeing that on the webpage.
what's that?
On the webpage.
It's on the webpage?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll double check, but I remember because one day I was like, okay, where is it? And then I pulled out the webpage and I was able to find it.
I think I missed that meeting.
Okay.
If
s-
that ends up getting, Paul, if that ends up getting double booked, the government center is an option too.
She, Susan had already called
Okay,
for the
perfect.
government center,
Good.
and they're booked up with other meetings besides the
Oh, I'm just saying like the boardroom or the commissioner's room or the EOC room.
yeah,
Just,
but thank
you got
you.
flexibility if it's.
Is this for like October or November meeting or which?
November,
November meeting, right? Okay.
yeah.
Okay, and so for that change, can I have a motion to approve the change?
I make a motion that we approve the change of venue to the Waconia.
I second.
Nelson, yeah.
Second, so
Sorry,
all in
Fred.
favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. The only negative part about being president is that I cannot put a motion. Just ask.
Are you sure about
Can
that?
I do that? Can I, okay, fine.
City council, you can.
I'll try that next time.
I think you can if you want
And
a
just a
special
note,
deal or something.
our August meeting is in Chanhassen, but this will be a short meeting, and I'll try to arrange the agenda so it's shorter, because the meeting rooms are so popular, and it is booked up right up to the time that we set up the meeting room, and we end at 6 o'clock, which is when another group comes in.
Wow.
So just so that you're aware.
Gotta keep a tight ship on that one.
That's us.
No dilly-dallying kind of a thing.
Go through Victoria.
Excellent situation. Meetings can't run over.
I wish. So now we go to unfinished and new businesses. So 6.1, everything 3 and 4 will move up to 2 and 3, I guess. So 6.1, the discussion topics, partnership and sponsorship.
And last month, we talked about this, the differences between partnerships and sponsorships. So Paul has graciously agreed to talk about that with you tonight, and I'll let you take it.
Thank you. So on the table tonight, I handed out, and I'll just add a few points and ask Jody and Patrick if they want to weigh in as well. So, and the first thing I'd say, this is really just, I mean, the list of things that you receive there, and that's, it's not intended to be a full list, although it's long. But that was kind of off the top of the head with Jody and Patrick and I compiling together quickly what we see is things that when we're working with other entities. And as I think it through is I kind of see this as being on a spectrum. Not everything is quite black and white. And I also we included in this where we have memberships. And so for instance of that would be our local chambers of commerce, right? And in that instance, at least in the western branches, our local Friends of the Library group pay for that membership. Partnerships is the way I've been taught and trained is, we're looking for things where there is give and take, right? Is everybody's bringing something to the table. They're sharing with a common purpose, a common vision, a common task at hand, and then there's some give and take on that. And some of these may be relatively short-lived, some of them may be for a real long period of time. And then there are sponsorships, and another way to look at that may be, grants and things like that. So the most recent one that I've been involved in is in Waconia, is we were invited to apply to the Hoffman Foundation. So our Friends of the Library group did that. And we received funding on it. And that really is just, that's pretty much a straight out sponsorship. I mean, they gave us funds with almost no strings attached other than to spend it on what we said we were going to spend it on, which was literary things and literacy stuff. So, I can't really think of too many instances where we are 100% sponsor the other direction, but I think we've provided, maybe from time to time, we've foot the bill on some legacy events and things like that where, it's been a community event. So, but those are, of course, always used within the guidelines of the funding itself, the legacy. And so, and some of these we nurture system-wide, and we, all the branches will be a part of. There are some where maybe just a cluster of branches are involved in that working relationship. An obvious one would be the Eastern School District, and where there's multiple branches that are involved in initiatives with the staff at that school district, whereas in Waconia, Norwood Young American, Watertown, those are one-to-one relationships between the branch and the school district. And then in some cases, we take a look at an invitation or an opportunity for a partnership, and maybe we put our toe in the water, if you will, and try it out at a local branch level before we start investing system-wide resources and effort into that. A larger one that we're keeping an eye on right now, and Jody and I have had some interaction with. I've probably been a little bit more in touch with them, but and that is the Unite Us / Project Linkage, for which years ago, handful of years ago or more, at the county level, there was an initiative for, and I'm going to get the name wrong, I'm having a brain cramp, but like a single entry type of system where if a community member is looking for assistance, they do an entry once, and then whether the needs are for housing or for food or for medical and those other things, is their application is a single point of entry. I think it was coordinated entry. Got it right? Yep. There we go. Thank you, Commissioner. And so a little while ago, email hit my inbox, and I took a look at it, and there's a group, actually there's a people actually even came into the library. It was a cold call that I got, right? And somebody comes back to my office and says, hey, Paul, you got to come out there. Some people want to talk to you. And it was two people, one person from this organization, this initiative called Unite Us, which is very similar to the coordinated entry program, but it's actually, I believe, at a nationwide level. And then Project Linkage, and there is another person with that. And so we've kept in touch, and I'm trying to keep a finger on the pulse to see how this might benefit the library. My take on it, just Paul's opinion, is that right now it looks like this may be something where we would be more of a site, a location for which people that are going to benefit from this might come into the library, and our staff would be trained on how to do the entry point. That raises a whole bunch of issues, right? So it's not a simple deal. But we're keeping an eye on that. If we roll that out, it probably would be a system-wide thing. But right now I've been assigned or volunteered to sort of keep an eye on those type of things. So we work hard, I believe, as a group here at the library, and this is all up and down the organization, all up and down the organization that goes into putting together the amount of contact that we have out in our communities. And then I'll just last say, and then I'll open up for Jody, and two other points. One is just as an example on the memberships that are so rich. And this is where I think in the smaller communities, what I feel is that we, especially where our communities are smaller and our resources in our building are limited, for us to be partnering, right, is to be members of and working with a community entity like the Chamber of Commerce. We need it. right? And there is no better example that I can think of as the Watertown Chamber of Commerce. When you take a look on this list where I noted the number of events that are happening in downtown Watertown that are walk-in based activities and events for which the library gets to be a presence, right? And it takes some effort on our part, and many of these, not all of them, but our friends of the library work with the library staff to make these things happen. Our attendance and our time of interaction with the community, I mean, we're talking hundreds on a Saturday for an Easter egg extravaganza or a Halloween evening or things like that. And so we put a lot of effort into that because otherwise it's a relatively slow library, right? So these are just rich. I mean, the $100 or whatever it is that the Friends of the Library are paying for a membership annually, we get that back in over and over and over again. So that's just absolutely wonderful. Finally, and that is that our strategic plan, when you take a look at it, there are several initiatives on there for which working with outside entities is part and parcel of what we're talking about. And so another, for instance, with our youth services team, where a couple of years ago we identified working with the Chaska summer program to be a participant and to assist with food distribution and that kind of thing. And it was, I believe, kind of, at least I wasn't involved in the definition of that particular goal, but is this past year when we were invited to participate and be a distribution site for the Every Meal food program, it was like, heck yeah, sign us up, you know? I mean, that was just like an unbelievable opportunity for us to then run with a goal that we were struggling with really kind of grabbing a hold of, partly because of the pandemic, but this then came to us, right? And so it's just, I think it's rich work. Some of it is very closely aligned to literary and literacy things. Some of it is opportunities that we then get to shape, and then some of it may be thought of as being maybe second tier, like distribution of meals and things like that. But it absolutely brings people in the program and elevates our presence in the community in wonderful ways. And so, thank you. I'll ask Jody and Patrick, please, to
I think I would just reiterate the level of communication that our leadership team here has in regards to the partnerships that we work with and take on, and then how we go back and disseminate that within our working teams, whether it's collection or adult services or youth services. You know, a really important piece or example would be we've been working a lot with different departments under the Health and Human Services umbrella, and so Paul may have had a meeting with, you know, someone in such department, and I've had, you know, contact with someone else, and then they start to dovetail together and we piece all that together. So looking for those types of opportunities too, that then become those greater system-wide efforts that we come across, and kind of joint team efforts, especially I think Paul and I see that a lot of crossover with our programming teams between youth services and adult services. So just keeping those open lines of communication is so important with internally, so that we know, you know, what everyone is working on and how we can help each other, and not always have to recreate, or we say create once, present everywhere, so that we're really, you know, working hard in that regard. So yeah, I think that's what I would add to your already well said presentation. So
I forgot one. We have a partnership with Eastern Carver County Schools where they bring kids in a work program over to work with us.
And another one under system-wide, right?
Do we still do that, or was it like we didn't do that for
We
COVID?
did do it during COVID, but
Right.
as soon as we were able to bring them back in, and a success out of that is one of those kids is now employed by the county's summer jobs program, and he's working with us. So he was able to take his school experience and that school partnership partnered with another organization, so he can continue to work with us.
Yeah.
I know one of my former neighbor, his son used to work down at the Chaska Library. And I did tell you that when I was in high school, we were librarians. We ran our own library. we just have a teacher that manages us, and we had the entire like 30, 40 of us run the library, you know. But it was the Dewey system. So yeah. The only nice part about running the library is that you always get the first dibs at all new books. And for the longest time, Lord of the Rings was not available to the common student.
I was just going to comment, and Paul, you kind of answered that. I guess my number one question when I looked at this list is that the Chanhassen was so short, but you kind of explained it. The size of the community makes a difference in the engagement and the leverage, and you know, Chaska's kind of the county seat, so there's a lot of that. But I just wondered, is Chanhassen missing an opportunity that we could learn from the smaller organizations, especially when we're looking to get more people through the doors?
Yeah, I think I need to study and find out which of these organizations there are equivalencies in Chanhassen and see if we've missed some opportunities. I know like the chamber, very early on, I attempted to work with them on various things, and it just didn't work.
Yeah.
They just weren't interested.
It is a different, you have to go with the culture of the community too, but yeah.
And there really are the chambers, I mean, the three western chambers, whereas the library's active in all three and benefits tremendously from all three.
Yeah.
There is a marked difference between what's happening in Watertown Chamber with walk-in downtown and Waconia Chamber, for instance, and then also with Norwood Young America. So they're definitely community specific.
Go ahead.
How do you start something like that? Like in Young America, there's a really active program at the high school, and some of the industry getting students to work there. So I know the superintendent, and you know, but how would I go to him or whatever and connect and make this happen? I can't quite.
Yeah. Well, I would affirm right off the bat that our frontline staff, particularly Tricia, our youth services librarian, works very actively with that school district, and we have classes and groups and all kinds of things in all the time. A couple of years ago, there was a teacher who reached out to me, and I attended one meeting involving business leaders and community organizations with students, and there never was much follow-up on that one. I'm not throwing the teacher under the bus. I have no idea on the backstory of anything. It was an attempt. So I think we just, at both from a variety of different angles, we keep communicating about it and making sure that if we start something we can sustain it. Heidi and I talk all the time about this, is it's sustainable. When we talk a leadership team, I mean all four of us, is can we sustain this, or are we going to get in over our heads? Is it going to ask too much of us? Be a one-way street, and those kinds of things. But generally speaking, I mean, we welcome working with the schools, and Tricia is awesome at it. The limit there, of course, is she's just half-time at Norwood Young America and half-time at Watertown. So, mindful there of the sustainability is that, how many days a week can she be out of the building going to classes or whatever. So I think we keep talking about it.
So to me, it's really intangible, and you just have to do it again until you get it right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why we do some things are maybe a little more on the fun side, like the Taste of NYA, but it's an opportunity. I mean, half of those, when I go to those events, half of it is just going up and down and talking with the other community organizations that are there, let alone me interacting with somebody who is, all the customers, the attendees at the event. It's just going back and forth up and down the line with everybody else that's got a booth there too. and FaceTime with elected officials. Holy smokes, I mean, right? I saw you over when you were at the career fair at Waconia High School, I think, right? I know Jim Nash was there. Yeah, I lose track of who I saw where when, but those kinds of things. And so for elected officials to say, oh yeah, the library is out of the doors. We're not just hiding behind our brick and mortar.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. We're going on to 6.3, report out of 2022 strategic plan.
Okay, and in your package, you'll see the 5-year strategic plan with the tasks for year 2022. This is the end of our 5-year plan. We've already developed the strategic plan, the general strategic plan for 2023 through 2027, and that'll be put into place starting next year. So if the vision, the mission, and the goals look a little different, it's because they were developed 5 years ago, and we'll be going on from that time. I've asked, since you enjoyed so much the way we did the lessons learned from the pandemic, I've asked each of the branch managers to take 1 to 3 items to highlight in theirs. I'm going to highlight very quickly for you on page 3, the developed programming targeting the underserved groups in Carver County. And in this place, it says the discussion and exploration has begun, and this actually began 5 years ago. It was shut down at that point. We had the county involved in that. We now are looking towards the future, and we'll see if this is included in the next 5-year strategic plan. The IT department definitely wants to work with us on this, because they see if we can get something started for the underserved, they can take that and translate it in the other departments within the other divisions. And Kate Hall is our contact for that. So who of the branch managers would like to go next?
On page 5 are all the collection ones. And I'll just mention 2 of them. This is all very inside baseball stuff, the collection team. I get to that. So one of them is we did our diversity audit metrics, and from that we learned some things. We continue to work on our diversity audit of what we buy, what we use, what we have in the collection, and specifically a focus on our storytime collection has been completed. So that one's lasted all year. And then we did, a couple years ago, we took our CDs, our music CDs, and took them out of all of our libraries. So instead of having 6 average collections, we put them just at 2 libraries. And we decided to do the same thing with adult graphic novels, which are small collections anyway. And we pulled them out of the smaller libraries and put them all in Laconia and Chanhassen. So those were 2 collection ones. And then the third one on page 6, which isn't done, we're working on it. We're having a management team meeting. We're talking about this in a couple of days, is evaluate cross-pinging needs within the library system. That's basically to find out who has things that only they know how to do and get someone trained to do it. So in case that person wins the lottery, there's someone there to back up what they do. So those are the 3 I wanted to highlight.
And I've got 2 that I would like to highlight. On page 4, quite a few down, there is a task alluding to incorporating the hybrid model, in-person and virtual broadcast, into program planning and proposal process. And the adult services team has, I think, done a great job really embracing this and moving forward out of the pandemic with this concept. We've done a couple of our authors and musicians already now where we've had it in person but then also live streamed it, and we're able to post the recording after for a certain length of time. And I think as we move forward, that's really become an integral part of our conversation. I know we met today, for instance, and we're planning for fall and winter programming, and the group is really talking about how can we balance that in person, but then knowing maybe when winter weather's on the horizon, what can we offer online, how does that work? And also integrating the team knows that we need to talk about that early on for planning with contracting purposes with the vendors and the speakers, and so that we're not scrambling at the last minute to plan for those things. So I think we're making really nice headway with that piece. And then, let's see, the other piece I wanted to highlight, now I lost my page.
Jody, are most of the authors open to that?
Very much so. We're finding, yes, that they're excited to be back in person, but then they really like building in that online component, and also knowing that we could also pivot if ever needed to completely virtual. So having that flexibility, they've been really open to that. Let's see, on page 6, there is a bullet point about providing guidelines and scope for a new team, which is called Intergenerational Services. Now, this isn't necessarily anything new per se that we haven't done previously, but we're formalizing it now and pulling guidelines and a team together, which is really a collaborative effort of some youth services team members and adult services, and working together to look at programming that might target, say, seniors and teens together at a particular program, or offering an art program where anyone in attendance in that program should and is able to participate fully. And some of that comes out of our legacy funding that we receive, and certainly looking at how do we best utilize and plan for and spend that portion of our legacy budget. So that's exciting work that's coming as well.
I would echo Jody's point about, from the youth services perspective, about the virtual programming hybrid model. Our Monday Fun Day series, where it's a combination, this isn't the hybrid nature, but it is just a combination, sometimes staff-led, sometimes the presenters are people we contract with, performers and things like that. The attendance at the event at the time of the event is okay. But where we've really seen the attendance happening is when we're able to keep it posted for a period of time, and then people are able to fit it into their schedule. So my personal opinion is that, and I think I represent, at least to some degree, most of the librarians and the youth services team, and that is that something like that will have some longevity to it.
I have a question. When will we have a hybrid model for board meetings? Because during the winter, we have people who travel, who leave town. Weather can cause problems as far as a quorum, and it would certainly be nice if we could legally conduct business with a hybrid model, because I much prefer face-to-face, but sometimes that's not possible.
And that's why we purchased the OWL equipment, so that we can do that. And when Bob gets back from his vacation, that's one of the first things on his to-do agenda, is to get that in place so that it can be implemented. So
And what
thank
is
you
it?
for that.
What's different about it?
It allows people to be able to speak to each other in one setting, like a setting like this, but also that there'd be equipment that you'd be allowed, you people at this table would be allowed to speak to people coming in from their homes. Not just one person at a time, but multiple.
It's like a virtualized conference, where
What's that?
virtualized conference where
Okay.
some are in one location in the meeting room, and those who can't make it can still meet and still see everybody, I think.
And will that be a county resource or the library resource?
It's the library's resource. The county has several, but they've been purchased by their departments, department by department.
Would that be located in one place, or is it something that's mobile, portable?
It'll be mobile,
Okay.
according to Bob. He's
Yeah.
sure that it is.
this isn't a legal issue, it's just more of a how do you do it issue. I mean, our chant has a book club. I don't think we'll ever get everybody back in the library. They just want to keep meeting on Zoom. I don't know. Some of it's COVID, but they don't want to drive out if it's raining, or there's a couple people, we got some older people that don't like to drive at night, and so it's like, let's just keep doing Zoom, and I'm like,
I find some people it's convenient, like I can get to there to the last minute. I
Well,
can be
yeah,
doing
I
something
get
at
that
home and then
habit.
1 minute before I just run over there, hit the button and we're all together, sort of.
And all you have to do is put your shirt on.
That's all, unless you stand out, but that's a different issue. Okay.
yeah, so when we tried to, we couldn't figure out how to set up a Zoom in the library for some people and have some people call in, so that'd be great.
I hope it's some guidelines here though, that we are to be here when we can, face to face, because I think that to see you missed all the expressions when you gave your report, what did you call it? What was the word you used for when you reorganized your library out there?
Oh, at Norwood Young America?
Yeah, shoestring.
Oh, a shoestring budget.
Report. Okay.
Yeah, shoestring budget.
I wish you could have seen the expression on our faces. It was the same as being there. Such detail in all of your slides. And then you even sent us a copy. You miss all the work you put into the presentations to us. And we always chuckle when you do, but you don't hear us. I prefer by far, I gain more and enjoy it more and realize the importance of everything we do here in person.
Yeah.
That it's when Frank is out of town during the winter, that's when we could use the new equipment.
Technology, no, I agree. Yeah, I think I agree, where possible we'll meet, depending on health situation or conditions that may require us to meet online. It's good to know that we have the option to do that. Okay, next item is future potential discussion topics. Is there anything that we need to talk here, or is this going to be just deferred out?
They'll be deferred out.
Okay.
But if you have any other discussion topics you'd like to put on the agenda, just let me know and I'll put them there so that you can just determine if
Okay.
there's anything that you really want.
Nothing comes to mind. The only comment I want to say is that your report about the the partnership and sponsorship. I always, when I first moved to Chaska many years ago, I was always hoping that if I needed to find out what's happening or how to get help, that I would go to the library and at least I would walk up to the librarian and I would ask, hey, do you have this support structure, or where could I go to get this? I think that's where that's where you can bring people and be a focal point of the community. Like even for new people coming into the city, and I'm sure they do come to you all and say, hey, I want to do this, I want to do that. Instead of going to the city, a library may be a place they would go to find help and what's happening in the city. So I just want to say that that's what I did too when I first came to Chaska many years ago.
And you don't want to limit it to the newcomers.
No, because
Some of us have no idea what's going on.
New things happen and you want to find out what's happening. You assume that community center would have it, but I think the library is more of a focal point than the community center sometimes.
I agree.
Because community centers, people think it's more for, do gym and exercise and things like that. And the library is more informative, kind of a nature of a structure. So that was my 2 bits. And then I did watch the video that you did with, I think, your daughter cooking something. I don't know why I get an update, I'm looking there, oh, there's something coming on. Let's go take a look. So, okay, administrative reports, team updates, there are none on this list. And there's a budget update.
I'm very excited. It looks like we're going to get our quote from Advanced Business Furniture, I think it is, Paul, for the Norwood Young America Library, if you remember.
Right.
We had some staff that were having problems because of the size of the desk. When that desk was built, and I was here when it was built to the height of the library assistants that we had employed at that time. And I always thought that was an odd way to build it, but it was built to that height.
Oh, wow.
They were both 5'8". We have some people who are not quite as tall as I am, and I'm definitely not 5'8". So now, and there are some problems that are happening. So for risk management sake, we wanted to get a desk that would not cause problems for these people. And it's been a while in getting the price quote from this company, but it looks like they're finally coming through so that we can get through that. So the biggest items on your budget that have not been spent or getting close to spent have to do with furnishings and equipment. So those will be spent down.
Quick question on that. The desks that we're going to be getting, are they going to be, I was going to say ergonomic, but are they going to be
Adjustable?
height adjustable?
Yes. It'll be a desk similar to the one that's already in Watertown
Okay.
that has worked well for people of varying heights. And we want our staff to be safe, and we don't want them to injure themselves. So this will be a good thing.
Good. And then anything else on your director's report?
Director's report, the first one you'll see under communities is the Jen Brewington, Victoria's new community and economic director. And I meant to talk a little bit about plans for Victoria. She said that she had been the community and economic director at Shakopee, and she had noted the Scott County interest and initiative for extended card access, and she really liked that. She wondered what else might be on the horizon for the new Chaska Library building, because they would definitely really like to incorporate that. She was very excited about the drive-through window and pickup, and being able to drop off your books in a book drop that was right next to the building.
Mm-hmm.
Interested in a lot of things that would bring people to Victoria. Even was interested in getting some kind of bus service that would take people to various events and activities and organizations, including the library. So it was an interesting discussion with her. For those of you that remember the discussion we had about the Cologne, potential for a Cologne library, Jared Brewington is her husband, and they own the restaurant that is soon going to be opening in Cologne. But they also had a restaurant that they had developed that was hands-free during COVID, which was an interesting.
Hands-free? How
They-
does that work?
They did not meet the customers. The customers ordered their food, and when they were told it was ready, they came to pick it up.
Oh, okay.
And it was in a locker unit, that in which they pick up their food. And so, and they got there, they had to pay ahead of time for their food,
Right.
so that was all taken care of, so they never saw anybody. People would just go in, pick up their food complete.
Interesting. Thank you.
If you look down below, the connection with HHS, we also have a connection with HHS appointments. And next up will be an exploration of deposit collections at the jail. So I think, is that this fall, Jody, that you're going to start exploring?
Just start exploring, start those conversations, yep.
So those are the only things.
What
that-
about peer evaluation?
Oh, the peer award, we did have several of our people nominated for peer awards. I will say that the most competitive of the peer awards was customer service. And one of our staff members actually won that, Scott Davis, who was one of our tech associates, won that award. A humble man who is also very, very focused on customer service, providing excellent customer service.
Yep.
And when he wrote me back a thank you for my congratulations, and I thought we should be thanking you.
He's not the one that's in the library sometimes.
He
Like, yeah,
is.
the desk. Okay, yeah, no, he's helped me a couple times.
He's very,
Yeah,
yeah.
he gave me a deal on some copies when the combination was done.
But I've got to tell you, this staff at Carver County across the board is so excellent, and they are so focused on stellar customer service that we are so lucky. And I say that not just as a library director and a former branch manager, but I say it as a county resident. It's the kind of customer service you want to get everywhere. And that's all that I have. And I will say that Patrick made an excellent suggestion to me, and I didn't get a chance to talk to you about it ahead of time. Charles, he had noted that it might be nice to have Paul go first. So Paul, Jody, and then Patrick, so that Paul doesn't get shorted of time. I thought that was very kind.
Are you thrilled?
For your reports.
For your reports.
Oh, okay. Believe me, I'm not feeling shortchanged on the word count tonight. I think I've exceeded my limit. Anything. It's good to be here tonight, and the Mayor expressed. So we had some skirmishes here this summer, right? These things don't always run themselves. And I'm very thankful to the city because the end product is very nice. They recarpeted the lobby, and they've done a lot of work here in their building, for which we actually had some downtime on the Express Library because the lobby area was under construction. It was minimized. Their staff, that our staff, Bob, right, our tech dude, that he worked with on the mayor city side were wonderful. And so it moved along. We kept it moving along, but so that was a project here. Up the street of Watertown, not far from here, is we are still wrestling with the issue. Heidi and I were communicating today with the issue of moisture in the building. Right now, we've got we don't, the city does, has 2 floor dehumidifier units that are running constantly 24/7 to supplement the capacity of the HVAC system in the building. And the building being the library part, right, is the rest of their HVAC seems to be doing fine. But as long as we got the dehumidifiers running and library staff renting a couple times a day, and literally they're filling up that much a couple times a day, is we're not getting moisture. But we have had water on the carpet on the floor. And it's like, is there a spring underneath this building? I mean, we've got a river running under here. Where the heck is this water coming from? It's a drought this summer again,
Yeah.
right? So, but, you know, looking for some positive things, we have Rails to Trails weekend coming up at the end of the month. Friends of the Library will have a book sale. We'll have an additional, we'll have a library music program, a summer reading program that afternoon, which will be awesome. And I've been working with staff. You may recall, if you were involved in the Dalkey grant, that out of the Watertown Library, we're hoping to have what is called the Next Chapter Book Club, which is a book discussion for adults with developmental challenges. And it's been a while in coming, and that's on me. With getting schedules lined up, but we think we'll be starting that up this fall. So one of the Dalkey grant projects, and we will get there. There's absolutely no doubt about it. And so looking forward to that. Out of the Waconia branch is, another Dalkey grant thing is the media conversion project, where we'll have equipment and services, not services that will do it, but we'll training services where we will show people how to be able to take their old VHS tapes, convert them into digital format and stuff like that. Staff went out and did some field trips to another library that's doing that, came back with some ideas to fine tune our original proposal, and we'll be getting that equipment ordered in the next month or so. And so we expect then sometime in the fall is we'll start announcing that after we get the staff training
That
part
will
of that
be
going.
popular.
We believe it will be. We want to be sure we get it right when we hit the ground running with this one. And Norwood Young America, today every Tuesday, Tricia's having, there are camp groups that are coming in to the library, and it's just hugely busy at that branch compared to what a general day would look like there. And so lots of good stuff happening there as well.
How many people can you accommodate if they come in as a camp group?
Well, you know, it's a juggle. Part of that is depending on what sort of interaction and capacity the teachers and adults have, and we get this across the board, where sometimes we get camp groups that think when they bring a group of students to the library, then the adults are like got, you know, time off for 15 minutes or a half an hour. But what Tricia's reported is those teachers have been especially engaged in working with the kids, so it's been very good. Yeah, but we try and keep it, you know, best case is like 15 kids at a pop, but some of the places I know at Waconia, they just said we can't bring that small of a group. It's either we're bringing 30 or we're not coming because we can only come once, you know, and so we took them on. Thank you.
All right. Well, it's been wonderful to have summer arrive with summer reading program and watch that level of activity increase and the foot traffic through the door. While I wasn't working the desk officially this morning, I told Heidi that I went down to help with one thing, and an hour and a half later, I went back up to my office. But it's wonderful. We've tried some of our performers outdoors this year, right outside on the plaza for one of them. Tomorrow we have Bill the Juggler. We'll be right outside our doors on the plaza. So that's been kind of a nice partnership with the city too, and we're utilizing Gazebo Park across the street for a couple as well. So wonderful. We did a great story time with Officer Julie from City of Chaska Police. She and Jennifer did an indoor story time, and then everybody got to go out and take pictures of the squad car, and that was a huge turnout. So again, kind of all hands on deck for that one, but it was great. We're starting to get pictures from people that have planted seeds from the Seed Library Project. So some of us are getting like emails and text messages with pictures of different plants showing up. So that's been very exciting as well. So lots of just, really kind of day brightening things happening. Our friends of the library are planning for their annual River City Days book sale, which will be the last weekend in July, Thursday through Sunday. So we're very excited about that. Lots of work to be done, but it's coming together really well. And then I think my last highlight would just be that we've got teen volunteers back in the building with us this year, so running a nice full program with that. And then we do also have a youth worker from the county Career Force program with us as well. So really great to bring those folks in and see staff kind of help mentor some of those folks.
I'll do a quick show and tell. If you can get the section up that has the Chanhassen and Victoria report. Page 2 has the 2 performers we were supposed to have outside. First day it rained, second day we had 100 degrees heat. So we had them both inside, so we had the Brazilians and Bill the Juggler. And we were able to shove a whole bunch of people into that little area in Victoria. Page 5 is we are not having performers at Chanhassen because we didn't have a place to have them outside, and when we were planning summer, there was still distance requirements in place. So instead, we went with STEM Tuesdays, and we have STEM story hours followed by a robotics demonstration. So that's kind of what's happening at Chanhassen rather than performers. And then on page 9 is passive programming. And passive programming are simply things that go on that don't require us to be there. And Lisa put together a nice cart for teenagers to do arts and crafts. And Heather every month puts together a scavenger hunt so kids can go around in the library, in the children's area, look for things, and then earn a sticker. And we had like 300 of those in June. That was a lot of stickers. That's all I have.
Patrick, how did that intergenerational thing go with the?
We didn't have as many people as we would have liked.
Okay.
We had fewer, but as I said to Linnea, have we done it before? No. So how do we know?
Yeah.
There's another one coming up in a couple of weeks, which is going to be all online, and then the third one in August. This idea was to take generations and get them communicating with each other. So teach me something, or show me something that you had as a senior that you want to share with me, and I as a teenager will share something with you. So it's a really good idea that hasn't quite worked out as we would have liked.
Yeah. I thought it sounded neat. But
Is it guided by?
Yeah, the librarian, Linnea, is kind of in charge of keeping the conversation going. We'll see how the second one goes. It's going to be all online.
I just have a general question.
Yeah.
I know, because I noticed that the Charles Dawkey grant review is coming up, or submission is coming up. Like, I think we did, I was really appreciative of getting the update of, that the media technology thing that's kind of happened. How is the usage on the stamp packs? We doubled the stamp packs.
Oh, and
Backpacks.
you still can't get one. They're still all on reserve.
And then the hotspot ones, I think we doubled that too.
You still can't get one. They're still all on reserve.
They're that popular.
It is
No,
like
it's great. I mean, it's
success
just
breeding
really great that
success.
that they're being used. I was curious that how did we help stem
Yeah.
the demand, or is the demand just as high?
It's, it's amazing. We doubled the amount of both of these things, and there's still people waiting. So the demand was really there. And we're seeing a Dalton grant to continue to fund the hotspots.
Thank you. Going to go to Matt.
I'll do MELSA and other things we heard as a board about EV charging stations. The reason I bring that up is because I don't think they had one planned for the Chaska Library, for future Chaska Library and the DMV, so they may be reaching out to program that. There's level 2 and level 3. Is anybody have
Right.
an electric car?
No, but I'm aware of it
There's
because I've
level
been
2 and
looking
level
it
3.
up.
Level 2 is just a small drip, it gets you home, and level 3 is a full charge in a short period of time. Swipe of a card is about an eighth what you spend for gas right now, which is kind of interesting. And my question is when are we going to have our first electric cop car? Because that's one of the biggest pieces of our county fleet. And where do you put that inside a building, outside the building, other people's building? But the highest traffic area that we have within our county system would be the DMV in Chanhassen, close to the library, and the DMV in the library in Chaska. So you might see some of those. And we're kind of working in the shadow of Chanhassen, because Chanhassen led. I think they wanted to have 32 locations. They ended up identifying 12 or 13. So it's kind of a cool potential future. If it's kind of the buzz right now. I'll echo what you said about peer awards. 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, we added a pillar within the county to be customer service. And we sometimes just take it for granted, but we named it and we put it in there, and it's encouraging to see that so many submissions for the peer awards related to customer service. There's 4 awards given. Customer service was one of them. Innovation, Help me with the other one.
Teamwork.
Teamwork. And then teamwork was given 2 award winners, one for teamwork, and then there's a judges. They get to the award one. Strong representation for all the libraries. So that was fantastic. We went on a 2-year hiatus because apparently through COVID you can't give peer awards, but we're back in action. MELSA. I had asked for data from our MELSA director, Scott, to give me an idea of where we fare compared to our peers within the library systems, particularly in preparation for what I thought was the potential. 4 libraries in the next 10 years, but now I'm hearing 5 because I didn't know about Carver. And what's interesting is they did it when Jake was at Scott, they did a ratio of how many dollars per hour open was one of their ratios. Another one is how many visits per 1,000 residents. And like a lot of things, Scott and Carver County, our ratios are quite similar, and we lead the rest of the area. Now, we have unique challenges and obstacles that Hennepin doesn't have or does have or whatever, but super interesting. And in grabbing that information, we're still waiting on it from Scott, but Jake gave me some of that information. It's to plan out, we're typically an 18-month board. From a planning perspective, I'm finding out, I want to get out 5 to 10 years to say, if we're anticipating potential 5 new libraries, there's a lot of headcount cost, there's a lot of how do you equip all those costs. And if we're not having those conversations now, I think it'd be easier for some people to say no later. So all that stuff's percolating, I want to share that. And then as it relates to MELSA, I think somebody said it best. They said, we've had more active MELSA meetings in the last 3 meetings than we did in the last 3 years. And one lady pointed at me, it's you joined the board. And I was like, I don't know about that or not, but one of the things that there's a heart on the board right now is how do we get those MELSA dollars into the local libraries, especially coming out of a COVID period of time where these one-time cares or ARPA dollars aren't going to be always there. And so one of the cool results that we've had in a very short order is the rent for MELSA has come up. We gave direction for Scott to go find different space to maximize the space. So we'll have 50% annual savings for the space that MELSA uses. And that 50% savings should make its way back into the library system. I'm advocating so that we can do something as it relates to extended hours, but I think that the library director group will advise as to where's the best use of those dollars. And if you don't assign them to something specific, they kind of vanish.
It's lost.
You know? And so if you can reap the benefit of $250,000 to $500,000 worth of dollars and push those back into the library system, hopefully Carver County can get a disproportional amount. That's good.
Is that a one-time or is it a continuing?
It would be a recurring. Yep.
Okay.
So, my daughter is part of the Clover Explorers program this summer. It's 2 blocks from our house. And Park and Rec was set up, Historic Society, library, and they did like a food thing. And I said, how did it go? Because they came and did the camp. She says, I went to the story walk. I was anticipating her wanting to do the food and other stuff, but she went to the story walk. And I didn't realize, I mean, you see it, you hear it, but when you see your kid engaging with Story Walk in this Explorers program in conjunction with Clover Elementary, it was fantastic.
How old is she?
She is almost 7.
Okay.
Unite Us, I'll echo what you said about Unite Us and go just a step further. Unite Us is, in my opinion, an app that allows you to delayer areas where there's overlap. So, for instance, there's food security options within Carver County, and I went to one delivery one day, and there were 7 different people that could deliver that hotel on any given day for food security. If the United Us app were to be used, you may have an intake from a point of like a library, and if through, hey, I need Wi-Fi internet access because my whatever, you may also have other questions that could be answered to say, oh, I need food or food security. And so instead of it going to 7 different providers, it would go to one provider that would say, I'm going to grab this need and we're going to fix it now. So traditional system might be, oh, you got to go through all this paperwork, 5 times, one for childcare, one for blah, 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 blah. So Unite Us is great in that regard, and it reduces overlap, reduces situational poverty and homelessness and chronic poverty and homelessness by having a one-stop shop. So I'm excited that library's part of that. Then the last thing is I'm excited about what you talked about from a diversity audit perspective. I know that there's a lot of different definitions of diversity. One of the new ones that came into my head recently was the history of our land before 1855. So if there's, I don't know if there's a bent on this as it relates to library. I know in the past you've curated things for racial diversity and whatnot, but if there's a way that we could curate at some point in the future resources for kids and adults alike as it relates to our indigenous roots, that would be super helpful and timely right now for a lot of reasons. So that's it. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Can I
That
just
was
ask
lot.
a question? I know we're going to talk about this last month, but I'm just kind of fascinated that there's 5 libraries. when we're hearing foot traffic is down and circulation is down. I mean, what,
Circulation isn't down.
well, it's coming back up, yeah. But what do you think the crux is at? I mean, I think it's wonderful that people still see libraries as such a vital support to the community, but yeah, it just seemed, I'm just startled, I guess.
I'll
Anyway.
answer from my perspective.
Yeah.
I read a book called Palaces for the People. And Palaces for the People talk about what are those third places, meeting places, because typically your primary place is your home, your secondary place is your place of occupation, and your third place is where do people gather. The first and second places have been blurred together because our homes are now our offices for a lot of people. And where are those places to go? Now, I think almost everybody here is fortunate enough, if they want to stop by a Caribou, grab a cup of coffee, they can, but that's not accessible to all people. Or if I look at my kid is at Fireman's Park right now, and if you didn't have rolling in a $250,000 SUV or a rusty bike, it would be the melting place for community to gather. And I think people that are looking out a little bit further than books in a box, because some people still have it shoved in their head that library is only a place to check out books. These things are evolving to be maker spaces, gathering spaces, meeting spaces, and so much more. And so I think communities are leaning into those. Now, every time I say that, I have somebody say, well, that's a lot of money. Are we really seeing the return on that? And some communities, and I don't know, Patrick, if you could echo this or not, like I'll use Victoria as an example. People of Victoria don't utilize library all that much unless they have children, because they buy their books or they have other meeting places because there's a level of affluence that's tied to that they don't necessarily, proportionally need library. And so Victoria may resist a new library if they have to put up the money, whereas a Cologne, maybe a different dynamic and makeup as a gathering space makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, I tell you, children gather at Victoria. My head is still spinning from Monday. A lot of people there.
When you take tours of cities and the tour director points out with pride, and this is our library. The last one I saw was in Salt Lake City. I was there with our family for a ski trip. Yes, we all take pride in our libraries. It's maybe a status symbol. It reflects who you are a reader. Which brings me to a point, this is an aside, but I don't want to forget it before we break, but today is the birthday of your most senior patron. And I'm beginning to think that there might be a positive relationship between literacy and what is the word for longevity. Her age is 107.
Oh, geez.
And you have all helped me, and particularly you. Remember the day I came in and you showed me everything you had to meet her specific needs. Yes, she reads. She doesn't read with any type of microscope or anything. She walks. She's living in her own home, and she's one of my best friends. She lives kitty corner. So yes, I know you are thinking she's very special. But your library, every staff member has helped me in the past few years. She still stretches her mind. She is was a Chanhassen resident. Her husband was a long-running pastor of Our Savior's Lutheran on Highway 7.
107?
What's the name of the Lutheran minister?
101.
Her name is Myrtle Klemp. I say it loudly
Yeah.
so it will be recorded.
Yeah. They used to have a family singers, the
Yeah,
club
that is
family
part-
singers, yeah.
Musicians of all sorts, yes. That's the family.
And he was blind.
Yes, he did go blind.
He went blind, but he still had that group, and he had his grandkids, and they went to different events and festivities, and they really had a nice, what do you call it, group of songs, and they were really very pleasant. You know, their songs. Yeah.
They're very fine. So I have a little cake frosting on my lips when I came in because I just came in. And do you remember that she had 35 hybrid roses in the backyard. And he built that home so that he would go completely blind on my street in Crest Drive. And our children were very tiny, 3 of them at that time. And he was fueling the mailboxes, so that he could walk with them. And he told them Bible stories. What a gift to our family. But now I love to garden because of Myrtle Clem. But much, much more. Very special reader. Sometimes you see the photos here of all your patrons. And she was one of your good ones. All good ones, of course. But she was an appreciative one.
Thanks, Jen. Lastly, Alan, do you have anything to update on your Library Foundation of Carver County?
Nothing, no update on the Library Foundation, but I plan to be active. But I also mentioned last month about the upcoming Veterans Program, the second annual Resiliency Program with the retired chaplain suicide awareness at the American Legion in Chanhassen on August 17th. And I've been working hard, I've been wanting to connect some kind of partnership with the Carver County vets. And if you look at this, one of the system-wide connections is the Carver County Veterans Services. And so I was really trying to connect here, and Jody and I connected and came up with a flyer. But somehow there's been a glitch within the last couple of days, and somebody on the subcommittee was unsure of the speaker, thought he might be presenting something on a religious side, not really sure about the topic being, making the resiliency mission, and also thought he was promoting himself. But anyway, there's been a showstopper. Somebody show-stopped it. I call it show-stopping. And so that's where we're at right now. And I wasn't pleased about it. And so I voiced my displeasure about it. And so I'm going to have to pick up and renew my relationship with the Veteran Service Officer. And so that's where I'm at right now. Any comment, Jody?
No, I didn't realize that's what had happened, so we can touch base.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to, we can set up a meeting together. And I know Dan probably wants to be part of the conversation too, so, yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
somebody mentioned sometimes there's struggles, and this is a struggle. Yeah. Okay. That's about all I have to say, Charles.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you had an accident a while back?
Yes.
Are you recovering?
I fell on my butt getting off my bike, which I just got new tires on, and had a major, what they call hemophilia, not a hemophilia. Anyway, it was right here, and but there was no fracture of any kind, but it just laid me up for 2 weeks, and I have not recovered in my own personal events what I want to do, and I'm really in a depression part of it, I'm depressed about it, so I'm fighting it, but anyway, that's where I'm at, and moving forward. I just wanted to say, is there going to be any kind of representation at the county fair?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
the county itself has a booth, and we're going to have a table as part of that booth.
Okay.
Thank you.
4 days, all 4 days. We're signed up, there's 5 days. There's a sign-up sheet,
In
staff is
August?
signing up. Jody's on a team.
It's in
that
July,
has
it's in
the plan
August.
all set.
And just for your information, at the Carver County veterans are going to be represented there. They've invited in the staff chaplain of the National Guard, who, I mean, he's a full-bird colonel, and I mean, he has a huge, boy, come on, not comment. He has many, many people underneath him, and he's going to be presenting there. Are just going to be there to, and also, just for your information, at the Carver County Fair on Sunday, there's going to be a polka service with yours truly there as a liturgy person, and the Jolly Ramblers are going to be doing this, and I think it's the 13th year in a row. Howie Cranky's going to be the minister, for your information. And so I'm hoping to get, his name is Buddy Wynn, to maybe get involved in that. He's the National Guard staff chaplain, Buddy Wynn. Very personable person.
And I didn't mean to not answer your question. I was just
No, that's
waiting for
fine. I
Patrick to
understood.
finish. It's August 10th through the 14th.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Let's forget that. And then lastly, we have the media package that you team put together.
It's enclosed actually, one of our librarians at the Chanhassen Library puts it together.
Okay.
Michelle.
I always like that because I don't get to see the other city articles, and then you get to see Chaska articles. I read the articles and okay. So yeah, I like to see that. I think we're done. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
If there are no other business.
Motion be adjourned.
I'll second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So move.
Thank you.
I'm off. Have a good day.
Yeah, it didn't